Howdy. Happy Moon Day. We got a full moon today on a Monday, Moon Day. Seems like all the stars are aligning. The moon is in the perfect cycle right now. We're all linked up and synced up. The energies are high. It's a great time to have a talk, have a heart-to-heart talk, try to give you my latest and greatest ideas. I just had a very powerful friend drop by. I haven't really reconnected with this friend in like 20 years. So we had a lot to catch up on. He calls it comparing notes. So we've compared each other's notes, and I think we've both kind of set each other off for the next stage of our lives. And I'm at that point, I feel like I've reached another peak. You know, we're always climbing up this mountain, trying to get the next perspective on things, and I feel like I'm there. I'm at the peak. I still got plenty more to climb, but I got a new perspective on everything as I look around, I look below, you know, as I look back, look down the trail that I've taken to get where I'm at. In my eyes, I'm always creating some visual inside myself to explain this stuff easier, because I'm very visual. I think a lot of men are very visual, so it's easier to have a metaphor, like climbing that mountain. And now I see I look back and I can see more than I ever saw before, because instead of being down in the ditch, I've climbed up above it. Now I'm looking down at the ditch. I have perspective on things. That's all I'm trying to say. Some people are climbing up, seeing more perspectives, more vistas, more opportunities, while most of humanity's down in the pit. They're pulling each other down. There's a big crab in a bucket scenario right now, where most of humanity's trying to pull anybody down who's climbing up this mountain I'm talking about. So today, this video is going to be named Everything Material Points to the Spiritual. It's an idea I kind of picked up on when I was reading Dune, because the Mentat's mind, he must realize everything material is pointing towards something else, something beyond, right? So I think that's where I first got the spark of this recently. But when you look at the material world around us, and especially all these religions, they all are pointing towards something invisible, something that you can't hear, something that goes without words, something that you can't see. Okay, they're pointing towards something spiritual that we can only try to conceptualize, okay? What I'm trying to say is, to know something spiritually, you have to know something beyond sight, beyond sound, beyond the mind, beyond the feelings, beyond a smell, beyond all of these senses that you have. All these senses that we have as a human are material, and they help us to interact with the material realm. Spiritual things just are beyond all of this. Okay, this is a place, and I'm trying to describe something that you can't describe. Like I just said, I'm trying to use words which are material to explain to you something that is invisible, incomprehensible. Okay? So the big point I'm trying to make through saying this is all of these religions are material based. If you have any belief in a savior, if you have any God, that you have a symbol for the God, and the symbol is a shape, or the God has a name, or the God has a story, or there's a book involved. Like, I'm just trying to say all of that is material based. But the material is always pointing towards the spiritual, okay? So all that material stuff in all these religions is just a pointer. They're all pointing at the same thing. But there's major problems because people materialize those ideas and they don't open themselves up to fully understand what spirituality actually is. They try to use the material mind. They try to use material to understand the spiritual. And in a way, that's where we all have to start. You're born into this material situation. You're given all these situations that you're going to go through. And the way I see it is every single moment of your life is pointing towards something, is leading you into something. There's no randomness, there's no accidents. So in a way, you're either going to be spiritual or not. I've definitely settled with the idea that I don't have any control over anything. All I could try and do is guide some lost souls back to a better understanding. But I'm not their ultimate guide. Everybody must guide themselves here. So now I'll do my best to take the material explanations and kind of give you maybe a new concept. So I guess the way that I really see it lately, if I were to mix ideas, I really like the idea of the Gnostics and how they viewed the world, and how it seems like there is some demiurge, there's some sort of bad creator that's created a lot of bad things here. And it's like a realm of corruption we're in. It's like a copy. It's not actually the real thing. Because if you were to take the idea of spirituality all the way, you start to realize everything's perfect. Nothing needed to be created. And the more creation happens, it's kind of like the more problems happen. I mean, has anybody ever noticed that one? When you study history and you study inventions, and as people create more, there's way more problems. And as I've just gone back to square one here, I have no problems in my life anymore. Just trying to live in the woods, have some gardens, have a family one day, just be self-sufficient. I don't have some big invention. It's kind of like in my life, I'm the undo button. I'm the janitor. I'm cleaning up other people's messy creations that shouldn't have been created. I think that's one way to view this. If you really want to be that spiritual presence here in the manifested plane, you must realize, you've got to. We never had to create anything. Everything's perfect. So relax. Anything you need to create, it'll naturally come to you in that moment you need to create it or deal with it. There's no worry, there's no fear, there's no anxiety about not doing enough work. I mean, it's a major lesson in my life. As I watch my father, he works construction, he still works. He lives like a king, he has a great life, but working doesn't get you there. Physical work, to the money, no, not me. I've worked pretty hard to get this piece of land and get where I'm at, but it's not why I did all this. I did it for the truth. I did it just to get closer to the truth. Because it's my own rite of passage that I've created. And I just think anybody who's really truly seeking the truth and spirituality is creating their own rite of passages right now, and they're going through them. Who knows where we'll end up, but we're going to end up closer to what's real than what we were born into. So I got this idea from, was it Christopher Liam? I'll have to put a link below. But he studies magic, and mainly it's the Golden Dawn form of magic, which is Aleister Crowley, which, do what thou wilt. Guy was doing sex magic, whatever. I just think if you view Aleister Crowley's life, and some people say Taylor Swift is Aleister Crowley's granddaughter. That's why she's such a grand magician right now. It's just, you got to understand the bad guys understand spirituality better than anybody. And that's how they've been able to hide it from everybody. Keep it closed off. Keep people in a material mindset through magic spells. Okay, so that's why I'm studying. You finally get to this point in your life where you have to study all the bad stuff, right? That you were told that's taboo. You realize that's the only way to set yourself free, is to look at all the things they told you not to. Who would have thought that was like, don't look over there your whole life. They shame you, guilt you, try to make you afraid. And then once you start looking at it, waves of understanding, waves of truth come in. But this Golden Dawn form of magic, they explain reality in like 4 different realms. And it's not a hierarchical realm like you've been taught. Like, God, you've been told the general gist of heaven is up. We're in this middle place and hell is down there in the fire. And you should really question, can a spirit burn? Because right now we're in a material realm, and there's hot and cold, and there's fire and there's ice. But spirituality is beyond all material means. So to have a belief that your spirit is going to burn forever one day, when spirits don't burn, they can't burn in the first place. I think that I heard that yesterday from Jordan Maxwell. God, he said as an 8-year-old kid, he was asking his pastor about, well, can a spirit burn? Right? Like, none of it makes sense when you really come down to these religions and the punishment side of it, or even the the other side, everybody's gonna be happy, happy and ignorant like they are here. I just don't see it that way. I'm going off on a tangent here. Let me get back to my idea. There's 4 different realms, and it's not a hierarchical system, it's a nested hierarchy. So what I'm about to talk about, all these are within each other, okay? It's not like one's above the other. It's all of it's manifesting right now in you, through you, and around you, okay? So you got to start off with this idea of the spirit realm where there's no form. There's no forms, okay? Something that science will never be able to answer for you. Why am I shaped this way? Why is my face this way? Why is a tree shaped that way? Forms and shapes. Science likes to say, it's made out of carbon and CO2 and silica. Okay, you just make up words. But how do things form and shape, right? There has to be some mechanism that's shaping everything. The moon is pulling the water. The moon seems to have some control over shapes. You know, when you're born, if you study this, it's so obvious that everybody has the face of their father and the body of their mother. So there's always that kind of formality that comes from your parents. But that's all you could explain, is it just came from them. But where did it originally come from, okay? So we have this, basically, in the first realm, it's just bright light perfection, right? That's where we go, and we're in ultimate love. Everything is at one. And then the next layer is sort of a womb. It's just an open space for forms to be made. So you've got your eternal heavenly realm. Everything's perfect. Everything is one. And then we open up a womb into a place where forms can be created. And I see it as this second layer is where the original forms, the original tree, the original man, the original woman, that is where like the purest form of a form exists, is in this layer right below creation. And then the third layer is all the unique expressions. Now we're still talking ethereal, okay? So that's an ethereal realm that we cannot see here. We're in the bottom 4th realm. All right, I'll skip to that. We're in the bottom right now. What I'm talking about is all invisible to you. You cannot see until you die. You can't see until you don't exist here anymore. Then you have a chance to see these things. But right now you don't. So that's why I'm saying I'm using material. I'm using my best to explain this in a material way, to explain the spiritual in a material way. It helps me, it makes a lot of sense to me. But you have the womb of creation with all the original forms, and then you have the next layer, which really that's the third layer. You could look at like the spirit realm. That's where these original forms get unique. And so for one original form of a human, boom, you come down to this third layer and it's infinite forms, infinite expressions, but it's still all etheric and spiritual. And then you take that, and that third realm, I imagine, is when we die, that's where we go, is into this third realm that is just full of etheric forms, buildings. I mean, I'd figure there's fake heavens, fake hells, everything in this next level to trick you, just like this realm has tricked you. Just the way I see it is this, you think that you die and then you're told everything. That's exactly what they want, because they're there waiting with their minions, ready to test you You still a materialist or not? So then all of the forms are in that realm, and then boom, they express themselves down here where there's even more uniqueness and where it actually manifests. So it's more of like a thought, etheric realm. There is no density. There's no, everything is floating. There's pure awareness. I'm sure you feel, but you do not feel pain. Like, you don't feel the things that you feel here in the heavy, lowest realm. So that's the way I view spirituality in a material mind. And I'll give you the link to a video below that explains it way better than that. That's just my quick, hey. In closing, I just want to circle back with this idea and kind of really give you my best top of mind idea of how to get spiritual right here, right now, how it really works. In order to get spiritual, you got to go out into the nature. You got to get away from everything. You have to get away from all the people. You got to get away from all the technologies. You got to find a space to let your mind rest and not be distracted by anything. You've got to defeat the monkey mind, I guess, is one way of putting it. With my buddy that I mentioned earlier, we both agree we found the silence again. And when you think of that highest realm, pure silence, pure peace. Nothing is ever wrong, nothing was ever wrong. And it's something I know. I just know that for all of this chaos to exist, there's a peaceful, silent origin containing it all. So if you really want to move forward on spirituality, you got to find the silence somehow. And don't fall for prosperity gospels. Don't fall for rewards. Don't fall for worldly rewards. Okay? Of course, I'm trying to talk about the silence, and what do you got? Stupid airplane. We're in a matrix. You got to understand, we are in a matrix that is against you uncovering the spirituality. It wants to keep you here as a prop in the show. It wants to use you in some strange way, right? The matrix, materialism will always try to pull you back in. Will always try to, oh, look, you got exactly what you wanted materially. That means that your spirit is on fire for Christ. You're in the right What I've realized, it's not the outer gifts that you receive. It's when you receive that grand realization within. 1,000 houses could never compare. But that's me. I'm sure somebody would trade their soul for one house right now. It's just the way it's going. But I'm just trying to give you my latest and greatest view on all of this. It's not what you think. It's not what I think. I'm just doing my best. Grab some truth and hold on to it. So I'll say first you must find the silence within. Then you've got to grow this silence within yourself. The next moves will come. The next question or the next quest. It always comes. But just don't allow the material realm to give you the next quest. Don't allow men and their wars and all their money schemes. Like, you got to get all that behind you. You got to put man in its place if you want to connect to spirituality. You can't be tricked or duped into a material way anymore. And this isn't like I have a nice cabin, I have a nice piece of land, I have so many material plans. So I'm not saying to just throw material aside. It's everything is material here. You gotta understand that. It's just don't worship the material, which worship is just paying attention. Like a scientist, okay? Look at these modern scientists cutting animals apart, putting germs in a thing, and making toxic food to poison people. Okay, they're not getting anywhere. They're studying the fantasy. They're studying the fake thing. The real thing is within you, so elusive and so silent. You alone take that journey within. There ain't nobody gonna drag you along and say, believe in this book. Those are the people using material means to materially manipulate people, okay? I just feel like I got a nicer perspective on it, and maybe this will make more sense to some people that are still wrapped up in materialism and materialistic religions. They're all pointing towards something. Well, that's my latest and greatest on the spiritual front. I hope it makes sense. Everything material points towards the spiritual. Every single phenomenon here on the phenomenal plane pointing towards something intangible, something eternal, something you cannot reduce down, okay? It's an adding up to everything, unifying situation. If you're heading in this direction of spirituality, if you're still caught in a divisive division thought of I'm on this side, they're on that side, well, continue in your material madness. But maybe I'm planting a seed for you. One day it'll sprout. So I love you. Enjoy.